What's up, guys? We're gonna roll beats. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys an easy way to make industry ready beats. If you guys haven't subbed already, or turn up on to do so, because it does help it a lot. Let's hop right into it. So BPM is a little slower. We could grow with like 125, somewhere around there. Scale, we could just use an A minor because it's like the most, default scale you could use, which would be easier to follow along with. So sound selection. Now I just labeled them in the type of sound. If you haven't seen my sound selection video, you should go watch it so you can understand what all this means. But these are the type of sounds that you'll need. And I'll just play them. All right. Bell. And a thin string. Right. And if you follow these type of sounds, you can get the same like sound that I have. Right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with our first sound here. All right, so let's get started with our first sound. Now, we're gonna take it back, and I'm gonna just use this bell because I just want you to be able to hear it clearly. So we're gonna take it back to how we used to make beats, or when we first started, right? So you probably made a melody like this before, right? When you first started. All right, so now what we're gonna do is take everything we know now and build on this to make it more full. So let's go down one octave. Let's take this A, pull it over. Pull this over, and we can go up or down 5, and I showed y'all this trick in the last videos. So I'm gonna go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now this is our bass notes. Okay, so from here all we need is one chord, which is the first chord of our scale. So if we have an A major, we know the first chord is a major, right? Starting from A. And this is A minor, so it's the first chord is a minor, so we just pretty much just make a minor chord. You skip every other note. Right, so you hit that note, skip that one, skip that one, and you have A minor. Or you can use the stamps if you really don't know and just pull it to A, and now you have an A minor. So the next step is to take the notes in between. And these are the most important because your melody is gonna sound very generic and stale if you don't add these in between notes. From here, we can shrink it, pull it up an octave, move it out the way, and let's replace this. So now we have a range to work with, and we can pull these up an octave, we can combo them, we can make a chord out of them, do whatever we want. So I'm gonna do some generic just to make it, consistent and, easy to follow. And we can just copy this over like this. And now we can combo any note. So let's combo this E. For example, let me zoom out. It's kind of looking a little weird. And we don't have to use all these notes. I don't know if I want to use this. Let's use a B. So I'm gonna copy this and maybe we could pull this up an octave. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that sounds pretty decent. Let's copy it over. So from here, what we could do is play with the octaves again. We don't have to, you can throw in other notes, but I'm trying to show you how easy it can actually be. So let's actually copy this, maybe pull this down, and then we can use this D here. Just pull it up an octave. Let's put this right before. Let me see. Let's actually move this up to C. Just try something different. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, it doesn't sound too bad. So I think that's a good start. And we can just copy this over. You can see we just built this from one little chord. Right, so just these first few notes we built this whole melody from. All right, so let's move on and copy these over to our other sounds. All right, so I just copied this over, and this is what it sounds like now. But what I want to do is actually pull this down an octave because I think that's going to be a little too high. If not, we can. And that's more ambient. I like that sound a lot better than the first one. So right now what we could do is just add in one of our counter melodies just to save some time. So we can use the synth and we don't have to put a whole bunch of notes. Let's see. So and I'm kind of hearing something like transition. So let me pull this up. And really, I'm just pulling from the notes that I already have. All right, so I'm just remembering what notes I'm using here. So it can be any of these notes. You can, if you want to be in harmony, you could just put it on A, so it lands at, you know, on the same note. So I'm gonna just try to do something real simple. You know what? I think that's simple enough. We don't got to do anything else. Let's move on to our next sound. Okay, so now this will technically be our counter. So I'm gonna just copy this first one. And so we can have a little bit more range. We can actually just delete this and pull this up, and we can start over, but we're gonna use the same note, so it'll be in harmony. So remember our chord, zoom in here, and then our in-between notes. Right, so I'm gonna pull these up so we can remember them, pull them to the side. So let's start with our A, and maybe go a little bit higher. I'm gonna play it by itself. Let's go with the B. And we can pull these up. Okay, I'm liking that so far, and we can maybe, you know what, let's put that D on the second part, just like we did here, just to stay consistent. Okay, and you can see I'm just, you know, using the same exact notes, they're just different orders and patterns. Let's go over here, and we could take this E, control down, and then over here, where's the D note here? And we can pull this over, and we can delete that. I don't know, let's pull a C over just so we have like something. Okay, and this is an ambient sound, so it's not going to be distracting. So that's why I picked the sounds that I did. Okay, so that's the counter. Now let's move on to our last little sound here. Okay, so now we're gonna add our last little, I guess, accent. And I just call them accents because they're not really supposed to be a part of the melody necessarily. They're just little sounds in the background to kind of make it sound a little bit more full and unique. So with the strings, usually I just pick from any of these notes, right? So it could be E, C, B, and I just try to see which one I like on whichever part. So on this first part, we could try like C. Probably do something like this. I actually kind of like that one. Let's go to the root, see how that combo works. Okay, that's not bad. And I want to save some time, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So we could pull these down maybe in 2 octaves. Can't really hear it. Okay, I think that's pretty subtle, and I might even turn this down a little bit more. All right, so let's go ahead and we can just throw some effects on this to make it a little bit like glued together. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna just show you this dry. All right, so the goal with our effects is just to glue it together. And I'm just using typical effects, reverse, slow-mo, and just, you know, like the RC20 or whatever. So these are super generic. So the reason I use this, the RC20s or vinyls, is to make it sound like it's being ran through like some actual hardware, which would add color or character to the sound, right? So we want to mimic that as best as we can. So I'm gonna show you with it all the way on. And it just sounds a little bit more glued together. So I'm gonna kind of dial it back a bit. All right, so that's why I use this, okay? Now, slow-mo, that is like the perfect plugin, or, you know, gross beat, halftime, whatever, to glue your melodies together. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you the settings too. right? And then you have a reverse. Now, I'm not sure if I want to use both of these together because it might be off beat, but I'll just play it. Right, and I'll probably tweak settings post just to get it to how I want, but I'm just turning this off for now. So those are the effects. So let's move on to the drums. All right, so let's quickly throw down this 808. Now this would be a lot easier because our bass is pretty much this the whole time. So let's copy this, paste it. I'm gonna pull it up, but not all the way. Let's pull this up maybe an octave, do something like that. And I'm gonna do like a little roll at the beginning. Actually, let's pull that back in. Let's just offset it, pull this up an octave. And I am in 1/6 grid, all right? Just so y'all, if y'all wanted to know. And then we can go with like a decent little rhythm over here. All right, and keep in mind, this is a tutorial, all right? You go in and you do a bunch, you know, you spend more time on it, right? I'm trying to explain things as I'm making a beat, which is very difficult to do, especially when you know, there's a lot of other stuff I want to do, but I'm just trying to make sure that y'all can follow along and stuff. Let's pull that up an octave and let's see what this sounds like all together. Okay, I think that's a pretty decent pattern for an 808. So let's move on to our kick and the rest of our drums. All right, so quickly we could just throw some drums in. I'm gonna copy this, paste. Okay. Do something like that. Then I'm gonna just add this rim. And maybe we could actually throw in like decent little combo right there. Let's turn this up a little bit. I'm gonna add some bounce with one of these sounds. Just do something like this to add like a sense of bounce. All right, and now we can just add some hi-hats. And then we still got to put the effects back on too, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's change the grid for the first one. And I kind of want to like have a stop and go type of rhythm because of the effects we're gonna put on. Like something like that, and then we can add maybe like a, put this here. All right, I think that's decent. So let's see. All right, so let's play the whole thing with the effects on. I might even tweak around with this for post so that the beat at the end might sound a little different, but let's play it all together. All right, and that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if y'all new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.